and Tom Casperson. Those are the first three. We're going to try to keep you close to your 3-minute time limit. Thank you. We can hear you up here.
That would be nice.
Is there a switch on?
So can we start over? Also, morning, the time we mark My name is Douglas Cox. I serve as chairman of the Menominee Nation. I'm a Menominee tribal member and a tax-paying landowner in the state of Michigan. I'm here today representing our over 9,000 tribal members who are also landowners in the state of Michigan. I'll begin by stating that the Menominee tribe strongly opposes Keeler Resources Back 40 Mine project. The tribe would like to go on record requesting that the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy withdraw all permits for Keeler Resources Back 40 Mine project. In my statement here today are the reasons for our request. It is important to re-emphasize that our beginnings started here at the mouth of the Menominee River and extend throughout along the Menominee River. Our cultural identity is here, where our people occupied this area and where our ancestors are at rest. There are a number of sites eligible for listing within the National Register of Historic Places that are identified in this area. This Back 40 Mine project will desecrate an area of sacred and cultural significance to our Menominee people, as well as an important historical landscape to this country. In addition, this is being done in contravention of laws, policies, and practices governing meaningful consultation with tribes and protection and preservation of our cultural, sacred, and burial sites of our nation. Our tribe is concerned with the site evaluation for archaeological resources conducted for the mining permit and its proposed amendments. We have expressed our concerns that they did not examine the direct, indirect, and cumulative impacts of exploratory activities, feasibility operations, and mine facility construction and operation. Aquila cultural resource surveys have been inadequate and to the exclusion of the Menominee tribe's participation. This mining project and its proposed amendments will destroy this Menominee River area and permanently ruin the significance of the landscape. Mining will adversely affect the integrity of this culturally significant landscape. There is no possible mitigation for destroying Menominee cultural resources. Even if Aquila and the state of Michigan were to have the best intentions, there are no actions or steps that could make this place whole again or restore it once lost. We urge Michigan PICT0018 to protect these areas of tremendous significance to us for the future of our people. Findings of your own Water Resource Division, formerly DEQ, counseled against issuing a permit because Keeler Resources did not meet minimum statutory requirements for a permit. WRD found that Aquila failed to consider alternatives, that the mine was likely to adversely impact water quality in the area, that the impacts of the mine were underestimated, that the mine will likely have a greater impact than proposed, and that the applicant did not accurately assess groundwater impacts. Michigan PICT0018 needs to see the whole picture of what the mine is going to do to our environment, our water, and our way of life. We need to look at the long-term impacts. Any open pit mining operation, by the very nature of this method, is going to permanently scar our landscape and environmental critical to us. This mine is going to introduce visual, atmospheric, and audible elements that diminish the integrity of this Menominee River area, as mining destroys, pollutes, disrupts, and displaces our environment. I want to for your time and consideration.
Thank you. After David and Tom will be Gene Stegner.
Menominee Reservation. My name is David Greeno. I'm a Tribal Historic Preservation Officer. for the Menominee tribe. My Menominee name is Nauqua, that means when the sun is in the sky. And I come from the Menominee Wolf Clan, and I live on the Menominee Indian Reservation. I come here tonight to voice my opposition to the 3 permit applications in the Back 40 mine that will surely desecrate Menominee burial mounds, sacred garden beds, and other traditional cultural properties of the Menominee people. First of all, there is no mention of cultural resource protection within the 3 permit applications, and there should be mitigating factors for any adverse effects to cultural resources. There are numerous cultural resources in and near the footprint of the proposed mine. They include prehistoric garden beds, burial mounds, other cultural sites significant to the Menominee people. This is a sacred area to the Menominee people. On the applications, especially the dam application, it mentions the Army Corps of Engineers as a federal regulatory agency involved in the project, which should mean the proposed mine should be a federal undertaking requiring Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act compliance, and there should be formal consultation with the Menominee tribe. The Menominee people were created at the mouth of the Menominee River, and this is where 5 clans of bear, eagle, moose, wolf, and crane were created. In the 60 Islands area, there are several historic properties that are eligible for the National Register of Historic Places, and they should be on the National Register as a national landmark. This is a sacred area. We have sacred dance rings on and near the proposed mining site that our people did ceremonies and still continue to do ceremonies. Sturgeon and wild rice will be destroyed if this mine is allowed to start and continue. This was what I have to say for the Menominee people. No Back 40 mine, no Back 40 mine, no Back 40 mine, Back 40 mine.
I appreciate it if we could hold the applause and let the speakers speak, because we have a lot of people who want to talk tonight, and I'm not sure we'll have enough time. Tom.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for taking the time to be here tonight. I appreciate the time you put into this. Thank you for that. You actually addressed one of my issues that I want to share with you, and I'm Tom Casperson. I'm here on behalf of Senator. You talked about having to follow the rules of the law, and you know that there's opposition and there's support. You're in a tough spot, I understand that. Elected officials sometimes are put in the same position, so thank you for that statement. I appreciate that. I came tonight to just share with you maybe a history of where we started with all this and where we are today. The legislation that was passed, 632, back in 2005, was put together with a wide group of people. And that refers to the law that you mentioned about following. And 632 was put together with Republicans and Democrats, environmental groups, and mining companies. And when it was all said and done, just for your record, if you don't know, the department supported the legislation, MUCC supported the legislation, National Wildlife Federation supported it, Sierra Club supported it, Michigan Environmental Council supported it, Trout Unlimited supported it, and the Front 40 Environmental Group supported it. And I say that because what we see happening here is you can't even get out of the gate, and we have opposition immediately. And some of these groups I mentioned in Lansing are opposing these activities, when in fact they supported them and supported putting the legislation forward. So I would just ask for that consideration as you move forward. Governor Granholm signed 632 and made a statement the day that she signed it, and all the groups I mentioned were there for the bill signing. And she said, these standards are the toughest in the country, if not the world, and we should be proud of that. If we can put our people to work under these tough standards, we should do that. I think Governor Granholm is right, and that's why we support this project. We support 632. We expect the Kilo to follow. And so I support what your decision is, but I ask that you base it on the law and the rules, and that's it. Thank you.
Please hold your applause. After Jean comes Sarah Cambenzi and Tina LaCan.
Good evening. My name is Jean Stegman, and I'm the mayor of the city of Menominee. I have served in that capacity for 7.5 years, and I am running unopposed for a third term. This is a nonpartisan position. While I cannot speak for the entire Menominee City Council, I certainly can speak on behalf of the citizens who give me their thoughts on this issue on a daily basis. Our residents are terrified that this proposed mine will ruin our water supply and our way of life forever. I am not going to enumerate the facts as they will be well covered in the course of this evening. Please do not mistake the brevity in my remarks, which I keep brief out of politeness, for a lack of an informed opinion. To say that this endeavor is ill-conceived and dangerous is a gross understatement. Please note the water level and pressure on our infrastructure currently. I've been advised that the barrier buoys on the Menominee River that prevent boats from going over the dam have broken. That has failed based upon the pressure from the water coming downstream at an all-time high. This mine places all of the risk on our residents, and there is no amount of money in this world that can fix the pollution. Should any of these breach, any of these safety measures breach, there is no way of fixing it. In the future, people will wonder what on earth we were thinking. Thank you.
After Sarah is Tina LaCan and Dawn Wilbur.
Thank you. My name is Sarah Cambenzi. I'm an elected representative from the 109th District that covers Marquette, Schoolcraft, Luce, and Alger counties. And I'm a Democrat, and I'm here to support the mine. One thing I want to say is that about 10 years ago, I was in the same place that many of you are in today. Because the first nickel and copper mine was coming to my district and coming in my backyard. And what I felt immediately was fear. I felt scared because I didn't know what could happen. And what changed my mind to have an open mind was listening to a professor from the University of Michigan give a lecture. And he asked one very important question, and that question was, if you don't want the minerals that you have in your region to be mined here, do you have the right to demand that those minerals be mined elsewhere? And as we look around this room, this gymnasium, everything in here was mined or harvested. And so, once I had to look myself in the face and consider whether or not I wanted other countries, other parts of our state, other parts of our region to do mining so that my backyard didn't have any, it forced me to get involved and to learn everything I could about what we're doing to regulate, monitor, and protect our environment. I'm also a type 1 diabetic. I have an insulin pump attached to my hip, and 4 to 6 times a day I use chem strips to test my blood sugar that need copper to read my blood sugar. So if we take away those things in our everyday lives that we don't think about much, our cell phones, our keys, I didn't see any horses outside. We all are responsible for the mining that we have in our country. And so this forced me to be involved and to getting to know exactly how we monitor and regulate the mines that are permitted. And I will say that Part 632 has the most stringent mining regulations in the country, let alone the world. Not only that, at the federal level, there are more than 36 federal laws that govern mining in our country. Is there a risk? Yes. But the mine that has come into my own district has done a pretty good job. of being very transparent, following the rules, of making sure that they are a community player. So I ask that we all think of that tonight when we're here. I understand it's an uncomfortable position because it is your backyard, and I have one in my backyard. But I ask that we come to the table together, and we do it right, and we hold them accountable. Thank you.
After Tina is Don Wilbur and Lori Pate.
Hi, my name is Tina LeCan. I'm a resident of this area. I live downriver from where the mine is going to be built, or possibly will be built. And I'm very worried about this mine. My speech today is about the air quality permit. My husband, in 2017, was diagnosed with blastomycosis. And for those of you that don't know what blastomycosis is, blasto is what's short term for blastomycosis. It's a fungal spore that is inhaled in the lungs from the soil being disturbed, and it gets airborne. And you inhale it into your lungs, and the fungal spore grows in your lungs. My husband got it so bad, it not only got into his lungs, it got into his bloodstream, and he almost died from it. Not only is this a horrible disease that you can get, that my husband got in 2017, he had to take an antifungal antibiotic for 1.5 years because he had it so bad. My husband got this from living on the river. And I had contacted, this is a recordable disease, and anyone can look this up. I had called the Menominee County Health Department because we were contacted by the Menominee Health Department. And this is a recordable disease. I had to call up to Escanaba because Menominee County's records are not in Menominee County, they're up in Escanaba. There have been 5 recorded cases in the last 5 years. There have been 1 case in 2015, 1 in 2016, 2 in 2017, and 1 in 2019, all blasto recorded cases. That's not counting in Marinette County or any other places that live along the Menominee River. This is a very devastating disease, and some people have died from it. The symptoms are very devastating. Even it has been said that one of Akila's own had symptoms that were blasto symptoms, although it was never proven. I question the permit for the air quality, that you really do some research and do not, I repeat, do not approve the air quality permit because of the blastospores that can be in the air and people can inhale them. You must really think about this. It is a very devastating disease. Thank you very much.
After Dawn, next is Lori Pate and then John Engel.
Koso, ene kaya skiwo katukwe, ene totani wasa. Ene skiwe kino mat lumne kiwi. The argument about no horses outside. If our people were not forced into this way of life, there would be horses outside. Or we would have walked here. Our people have already walked here to prove that point of this is where we come from. Having to have keys or having to have cell phones, we have to have them now because we were forced into this way of life. If we weren't forced into this way of life, if other people would have just lived the way we lived, there wouldn't be all those sicknesses. All the medicine in the world is out there that we need, or that we needed. I have elders telling me how they lived out in the woods. Their fathers every day went trapping, hunting, fishing, bringing home food every day. And their children, they did not get sick. They didn't even have a common cold. They didn't know what that was. Everything that's out there provides for every one of us. The Creator provides that for us. I've heard it said before that, well, where have they been all these years? How come all of a sudden now they're just now paying attention? I don't know who said that, but how do they know that we weren't paying attention? How do they know that? How do they know that our people didn't know about this place? Our people have been visiting that place and doing their own little ceremonies for many, many years. That place means something to us. Those are our ancestors that are buried there. That's the water that our people came from. Those tailings, it's proven time and time again, those tailing dams, that they will collapse. And that's not worth anybody having a few dollars in their pocket. For all those animals, for all the people that live here now. Our people still live that way. You have to understand that. We still have ceremony. We still practice those ways. So that place up there is enormously important to us. Please understand that. Thank you.
Lori, please. If Lori's not, I guess Lori, please. If Lori's not ready, I'll set her card aside. John Engel. And after John is Elizabeth.
Electric personality, I guess.
After John is Elizabeth Smith, and then Steve Alexa.
My name is John Engel. I'm representing the Sierra Club. The International Commission of Large Dams completed a worldwide study on 221 major tailing dam failures from 1970 to 2001. Every year, 2 to 5 tailing dams sustained major structural failures. Some resulted in loss of life. All were environmental disasters. The following conditions were the primary causes of the tailing dam failures: slope stability, 47, seismic, 34, overtopping, 30, foundation failure, 22, seepage and water piping, 21, structural, 16, erosion, 6, 45 failed without any definitive cause. A more recent upstream tailing dam failure was the Imperial Mine Mount Poly Dam. The primary failure cause was an undetected glacial till layer beneath the foundation. Secondary causes were excessive water in the tailings basin and insufficient construction material. The owner had no idea clay was under the dam foundation. Digging a bit deeper, per the Canadian Institute of Mines, some potential dike failure trigger mechanisms are oversteepening at the dam dike toe due to erosion from intense storm runoff, changes in dike stress conditions due to seepage breakout on the face of the dam, foundation and or embankment movement, intense rainstorms, increased pond levels, dike overtopping from severe storm runoff, failure of diversion dams and structures, or seismic deformation with loss of freeboard, acceleration and vibrations as a result of construction traffic, blasting, and seismic caused failures as well. Per the National Weather Service in Milwaukee, there has been a 37% increase in very heavy precipitation events in the upper Midwest. There are inherent risks associated with the construction of all type of tailing dams. The upstream method is the most failure prone. The reason is the second and third dike raises are partially supported by tailings. Wet tailings have the consistency of drywall mud and have very little shear strength. Will the tailing dam during construction and after reclamation withstand the increased frequency of severe weather events? without eroding or collapsing? Aquila Resources has zero experience managing the construction of a tailings dam. If Eagle approves this project, the junior varsity with no project experience will attempt to engineer and manage a toxic sulfide ore mine on the banks of the Menominee River. Quite frankly, this is a disaster that has found a place to happen. Speaking on behalf of the Sierra Club, including 150,000 members and supporters of the Michigan chapter, Eagle has an opportunity to regain the trust of the local residents and Menominee Nation by denying the upstream tailings dam safety permit. And the Sierra Club has never, ever supported sulfide ore mines. Thank you very much for your time.
Steve Alexa, and then Paula Wilpon.
I'm Elizabeth Smith. I've lived in Menominee, Michigan all of my life. I had 6 children and I lost 2 at birth, so I know what personal loss is. Now my grandchildren live in Marinette, and I've just been blessed with my 2nd grade grandson. And they're having difficulty with their water. They're living on bottled water now in Marinette, Wisconsin. And I don't want the mines to go home and take that chance for all future generations. Thank you.
Next is Paula Wilpon and Tom Jekyll.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the panel. Thank you for the diligence and perseverance in this very important process. My name is Steve Alex. I'm the President and Chief Operations Officer for Champion Incorporated, based in Marinette, Michigan. On a personal note, I'm a first-hand beneficiary of mining in the UP. Both of my grandfathers had long careers working in the mines industry and eventually both retiring from there. Those opportunities brought both sides of my family together in the UP after those men returned from combat looking for work. As very young men, my father and father-in-law both started their careers at the Groveland Mine near Manville, Michigan. I went to school kindergarten through high school graduation at the North Dickinson schools, only a few miles from the Groveland Mine. The opportunities the Groveland Mine brought to the North Dickinson area were incredible while I was growing up. Professionally, on behalf of Champion Incorporated, we issued 1,100 W-2s for 2018, with the majority of those being distributed in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and northern Wisconsin. We live and work here. We service the mining industry and have seen up-close engineering technologies advances the mining industry has made since our very humble beginnings as a gravel producer going back to 1921. We have been following this process and feel confident in the controls and oversight that we've put in place. We are an Upper Peninsula business supporting business in the UP, and we support this project. Thank you.
Paula Wilpon. Paula? You coming? Okay. And after Paula is Tom Jekyll, and then Ed Smith.
My name is Paula Mohan. I live in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm going to be talking about the origin story of Part 632, which was passed in 2004. It was a compromise document, as former Senator Casperson mentioned. It was a compromise document between environmentalist groups, scientists, and business groups. It was designed to find a way to permit non-ferrous sulfide mines, but still protect the resources in the area. The plain language of the law states the proposed mining operations will not pollute, impair, or destroy the air, water, or other natural resources, or the public trust in those resources. It's clear that the intent of the bill is that even if a mine is permitted, the primary concern of Eagle is to protect the resources and act to safeguard the public interest, the environmental commonwealth that belongs to all of the citizens of the state, and by extension to all of our relatives, even those who cannot speak. Because Part 632 is a relatively new bill designed to regulate a new and risky type of mining, how the clauses are interpreted by agency staff will determine how they are implemented and put into practice. This puts a tremendous burden on Eagle staff because you are taking legislative policy, translating it into agency practice, and establishing precedent for future mines. Ideally, scientific considerations determine permitting decisions. My concern is that because of legislative pressure to weaken regulations and permit mines, the way that the provisions of the law are being interpreted and implemented diverge from the intent of the bill and are now balanced toward mining companies. One example, the upstream tailings dam, which would be located 50 yards from the Menominee River, has been deemed an acceptable risk despite the economic risk of sitting next to a major water body. Part 632 is specifically designed to prevent this by requiring all feasible and prudent alternatives to be explored before approving a design like this. Yet, according to the frequently asked questions, the Eagle staff determined that the on-site upstream tailings basin is acceptable because it is the only one that fits within the company's footprint and reflects the ownership of surrounding land. The exact language is, the mining area defined in the MPAA is limited to lands controlled by Aquila Resources for location of surface facilities. Due to high operating costs to transport tailings off-site, it was determined that locating the tailing management facility in another location would not be prudent. Economic feasibility for the mining company is not the intent of Part 632. Environmental feasibility and prudence are. I understand that the agency is under significant legislative pressure to approve these mines. Senate Resolution 85, introduced by then Senator Casperson in fall 2017, which pressured the DEQ to approve the outstanding permits devoid of any scientific evidence, is a clear example of that. In spite of this pressure, I would ask Eagle staff to deliberate carefully on the original intent of Part 632. Use your discretion to protect the Menominee cultural and historical resources which cannot be replaced or mitigated, the natural resources which are not as resilient as they are assumed to be by mining companies and act in the public interest. The precedent you are setting is important for all future mine permitting. To fully protect the resources, you must implement the bill as intended. Otherwise, you risk the development of a regulatory framework which will be as unreliable as an upstream tailings dam design. Don't let that be your legacy.
Next up is Tom Jacko, followed by Ed Smith, and then Sherry Thunder. Please try to adhere to the 3-minute time limit, people. Thank you.
I'm Tom Jocko. I'm on behalf of Champion Charter out of Iron Mountain, Michigan. I'm Tom Jocko. I'm here on behalf of Champion Charter out of Iron Mountain, Michigan. I know there's lots of people that want to speak here, so I'll keep it short and to the point. Our business has worked with mining and aggregate since 1921. We know and understand mining. We are an Upper Peninsula company. We understand the importance of good jobs as long as having a clean environment. Jobs created either directly or indirectly will have a far and reaching impact via the monies that are infused into the local and state economies, giving the Upper Peninsula a much needed economic shot in the arm. The Upper Peninsula has a history of harvesting its natural resources. This project can be developed in a way that protects the environment through the permitting structure, regulations, and oversight of mining in Michigan.
We can't hear up here. It's wonderful.
As you can tell, I'm here this evening to express our full support of the backboarding project. As a lifelong resident of the Upper Peninsula, we need to have quality jobs in the Upper Peninsula that provide a sustainable way of life, not only for today, but for our future. I'm respectfully requesting that the final hearing of the DEQ grant the amendments and permit necessary to ensure the backboarding project continues to move forward. Thank you.
After Ed and Sherry comes Douglas Stevens. You might move down closer. It's just an idea. I don't have control of the system.
One on cyanide. 3 grams will kill 1 person. 1 ounce will kill 77 people. 1 pound will kill 1,244 people. The estimate for the Back 40 mine, they're going to use 1.24 billion pounds, would be used over 16 years. That's a lot to clean gold and silver. How many kids are going to be dead by it? Also, they said there will be 54 million pounds of lead in the mine. Only 41% will be reclaimable. They will leave 22,140,000 pounds of lead in the tailings. Of course, with that, the cyanide and acid. Now, everybody thinks, oh, we're going to be great with this mine. Think about it. Do you have kids? I'm asking you a question. Do you have kids? I sure do. And I want to see them live. I'm a foster grandparent for the school. 9.5 years I work with kids. They call me Grandpa Ed because I enjoy the kids. I see a lot of people here for Aquila. It's not for their kids. Who's going to make the money? The funeral home.
Yeah.
I think it's China. And that's pretty bad. I will fight till the end on this because I'm not going to let it be. And I'm serious about it. And I hear these Aquila people, oh, don't worry about it. Well, guess what? Them kids, they're going to bury their kids, and they don't care. Sorry.
Sherry Thunder, will be followed by Douglas Stephen and Larry Mullins.
Also, Nuiswan Shuri Thunder. I am from the Menominee Nation. I just want to sing a little song here. This land is your land, this land is my land. Wait, no, that's not right. That can't be right. This land doesn't belong to me or it doesn't belong to you. This land doesn't belong to anybody. So I just wanted to come up and say that we are here to protect the land. We're here to protect the waters, the animals, and then vice versa. This land of animals, of the water, does not belong to one person. It belongs to the Creator, Mother Earth. So that's all I want to say. Actually, I want to describe that song that we sang up there. I just want to say what the words mean. I'm sure other people can explain it better than I can, but so we said, water, we love you, water, we respect you, water, we honor you. So that's all I wanted to say. Why women?
Douglas Stephen. And after Douglas is Larry Mullins and Ron Henderson.
My name is Douglas Steffen. I live in Menominee, Michigan. First of all, I wanted to point out that it seems like the people that are speaking for the Back 40 mine all seem to live in very upper Michigan, well upstream from the worst damage that will inevitably happen if this mine is allowed to be built. Aquila has chosen the upstream design to store its mine tailings. The upstream design is the lowest cost option, but the most prone to failure, according to experts. About 76% of tailings dams failures worldwide are related to upstream construction methods. The recent tailings dam failure that occurred in Brumadinho, Brazil in January of this year released 3 billion gallons of sludgy mine waste and killed about 270 people. Brazil has since banned upstream mining dams and ordered that Brazil's 88 upstream dams be taken down or converted into other types of dams. The international mining industry has called for a fundamental change in the industry's approach to safe tailings management. Insurance companies like American International Group, AIG, are withdrawing from the vast majority of its mining liability business in response to the Brazilian disaster. Why is the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy considering a dam safety permit for a tailings dam that is designed to fail? In closing, I'm relieved that the MDEQ recently changed its name from the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, as examples of environmental quality were few and far between. The voters and taxpayers of Menominee County deserve better. We're tired of being ignored in Lansing. Amen. We don't want this toxic waste pit of hazardous sludge in our backyard, and neither do our neighbors in Wisconsin across the boundary water. We need to keep the pure in our slogan, Pure Michigan, and one huge step is to prevent this outrageous and atrocious Back 40 mine project from actually happening. You as a commission and we as citizens have a moral obligation to protect our rivers, our bays, and our Great Lakes for not just us, but our children, our grandchildren, and future generations to enjoy. I'm asking Eagle to withdraw all permits to disallow this Back 40 mine from being ever constructed. Thank you.
After looking around for John Henderson and then Joseph Porter.
Good evening. My name is Larry Mullins, and I'm a resident of Marinette County. I've been a resident for many years. I want to speak for a minute on the idea of the human element in all this business. We got all these laws, the best laws in the world to protect us in the mining industry. And those laws won't mean a thing if just one individual messes up. And I have an example here to prove that. It happened last year in western Wisconsin. We talked about the dams and how, they need to be constructed. You're going to hear a lot more on that before the evening's over. But it only takes one individual to upset the apple cart. And in western Wisconsin last year, on May 21st, 2018, a man in Trimble County, Wisconsin, was operating a bulldozer at a tailings pond. When he drove too close to the edge of the pond, the ground gave way, sending him and the bulldozer 20 feet into the murky sludge. He survived 2 hours in his airtight cab while workers hooked up hoses and pumps to lower the level of the sludge in the pond so they could find him and extract him in the bulldozer. Unfortunately, I should say fortunately, they saved this man. They rescued him. And he's alive today, and we should cheer about that. Unfortunately, while they were trying to save this man, they pumped 10 million gallons of toxic sludge and on nearby fields and streams, and it ended up in the Trimble River, eventually ending up in the Mississippi. So, this incident happened at a fracking mine where the chemicals used were not as harsh as the cyanide that will be used in the proposed Back 40 mine. Can you imagine if such an incident happened on the Menominee River, what a catastrophe that would be? So I'm asking you, please do not issue any of the mining permits to Aquila that will enable them to operate anywhere near the Menominee River or any other freshwater resource. you can avert this disaster before it happens. Thank you very much.
After Ron and Joseph comes Mike Tebow.
Thank you. My name is Ron Hendrickson. I'm the spokesperson for the Fund 40 Environmental Group. And this evening, I'd just like to highlight a few points. During the last 3.5 years, the applicant has failed to prove beyond any doubt that this project will not pollute, impair, or destroy the air, water, land, and other natural resources. The most concerning factor is the inability to instill faith that this project will ever gain the public trust. The PICT 632 contested case only allowed the company to further develop the project. It did not grant the permit as it has a new, larger footprint after DEQ declared the amendments to be major. The changes were so significant that other permits had to be amended to adjust to the updated application conditions. For years, the DEQ has stated that the boundary line stops at the edge of the river. However, it would certainly be appropriate to, at the very least, consider the impacts to Wisconsin and its impacted landowners. The applicant has presented unapproved plans for roads. Aquila has long stated they want to close River Road, which would leave residents without access to emergency, medical, fire, and police services. No replacement road access has been developed. There is no eastern corridor for utility and transportation in existence. Yet this is how access to the site is presented to the Air Quality Division for review. This would be a private company road, and as such, different review standards for air quality would apply. By now, with all the phone conferences, letters, and emails, the company should know what is required to submit a complete and properly documented application. And lastly, the DEQ needs to listen to the science. Concerned citizens have hired technical experts to review the permits. The Center for Science and Public Participation reviewed the Back 40 mine permit amendment in February 11, 2019. Aquila responded to the entire document, with DEQ responding with additional comments and questions. Perhaps it would be beneficial to all concerned if the DEQ hired the Center for Science and Public Participation to respond to Aquila Resources and the DEQ. Thank you.
Mark Marcuzzi. Joseph Court. I don't need to speak.
Township of Wagner, asking you to consider that the overwhelming majority of residents oppose this fundamentally flawed mine. To our not so esteemed Michigan representatives, one word: recycle. Aquila's air quality permit assumes that a flotation circuit does not emit toxic vapors since it is a wet system. But the use of pine oils, methyl isobutyl carbonol, sodium isopropyl xanthane will generate vapors which include toxic metals. Mercury controls from the mercury retort are not addressed, according to S. Hoffman Consulting of Virginia. Upstream embankments are unsuitable for areas of seismic activity. The dam safety permit application says the project is located in an area of low seismic activity. 2010, a massive split in the ground considered to be the result of a small earthquake opened just north of Menominee. Dr. David Chambers, an internationally recognized expert on tailings dam failures, said that Aquila significantly underestimates the seismic risk. The amended dam safety permit, Aquila has chosen the upstream design to store its mine tailings. It's the lowest cost option, but the most prone to failure. Mark Bristol, CEO of Barrick Gold Corporation, said, quote, "I'm paranoid about tailings dams." BHP CEO Andrew McKenzie said, quote, "We absolutely agree that a fundamental change is required in the industry's collective approach to safe tailings management. Strict impoundment limits were not defined in the Back 40 mine permit application. It is reasonable to assume that Aquila has selected the upstream dam method because it could allow for sequential expansion through raising of the dam wall. Incremental raising increases instability, which has recently resulted in the catastrophic collapse of several tailings dams. Aquila's mine permit application admits that 75% of waste rock is expected to be acid and metal generating, polluting our river. Based on recent actions by the former DEQ Eagle, you have zero credibility among the public. It's time for you to improve your credibility by denying these permits.
I'd like to thank the Commission for allowing me an opportunity to come before you and speak in favor of issuing these permits. I work in an industry where our members make sustainable livings. And even though I come from Gwen, my jurisdiction covers the whole UP. And your opening statements, I think, were spot on. Your decisions are not going to be made on the passion I bring to this podium, in the sense that it's an opportunity for us to offer opportunities to youth in the area, to join our apprentice programs, and to earn a good living in retirement, nor the passion that the opposition brings into this room. The fact is that we have some of the strongest mining laws that a bipartisan effort put together. I think we should move forward in issuing the permits. I urge you to do that. The one comment I will make, watching the Eagle Mine in my backyard, one of the things that I think the opposition should be looking at is to implement a third-party monitoring effort, such as Eagle did. Superior Watershed is a third party that monitors the water, and I think that is something that is very prudent. I thank you for your time.
I'm Mike Markinson. When I came here tonight,
I'm sorry, would you please state your name? I might have missed it.
Mike Markinson.
I just wanted to ask, please state your name. That's very helpful to us because the court reporter will get it. You did it, sir. I'm not faulting you, but I think the previous gentleman might not have. And it's just very helpful to us when we review your comments later. Thank you.
Okay, to start with, when you read through this brochure that you guys gave us, it doesn't read like a pamphlet of compliance. It reads like a pamphlet of how many loopholes we can find to avoid all the regulations for Michigan state mining. I mean, I'll start with page 4, the prevention of significant deterioration of regulations. They're not subject to that based on a computer model. A computer model for a company that has never succeeded in its entire history of attempts at sulfide mining. It's contaminated everything it's touched. And then we skip forward to the part about their bag houses. There's no mention of particulate air filtration for these bag houses for the changeout. I've worked at foundries. I know how much waste is dumped out of those bags when you're trying to change them out. They're exposed to the elements, you're tracking them, you carry it on your clothes. If you've ever seen people walk out of a foundry black, they're just covered in it, they track it everywhere. There's no containment. And as if I wasn't concerned about this when I came here tonight, I sat here earlier and was just horrified by a Michigan State representative stepping up here and comparing the mines in Marquette to the mines in the mine construction plan for here. But you're comparing iron ore mines in a limestone mine as a professional to the construction of a mine here for sulfide mining with all the potentials for failure and contaminants. It's like, have you ever seen a limestone mine aftermath? They've made some of the cleanest lakes in the history of the state of Michigan. They're so clean they don't even allow the operation of outboard engines on most of them. When you compare mines like that to what they're planning here, I mean, we might as well rebuild Chernobyl right here outside of Stevenson. I mean, it's got to be the most ridiculous, unprofessional garbage I've ever heard in my life. As for air filtration, they talk about they're going to liquefy it, okay? They're going to put it on conveyor belts and carry it in a slurry. Well, the stuff dries, it splashes, it goes everywhere. It's being moved in thousands and thousands of pounds. How are they going to clean that? Does the whole building have particulate air filtration to it? Are they changing those filters regularly? Who's monitoring all that? Your whole pamphlet is based on regulations and procedures for quality of environment that they're exempt from. Thanks.
Jeffrey Goodish, you want to speak? And after Jeffrey is Bruce Tizio and then Thomas Hogan. And please state your name and if you're with an organization, what organization that is.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey J. Bordish. I'm a taxpayer and landowner in the state of Michigan. I would like you to take a look around this room and how many people oppose this project. Where are the people for it? They have no license of public acceptance to operate here. Now for questions. There is no information on how mercury from the retort will be stored or transported, or wherever there is a facility to receive it. There is none. Mercury emissions from the retort did not go into the air disposition modeling. Why? Air disposition modeling suggests that Spring Lake currently meets mercury water quality standards, but will exceed and violate them after mining begins. By using old data that Aquila Resources may be biasing the baseline, highly underestimating the impact of the emissions being put out from the mine. Recent data suggest upper groundwater layers flow faster than the data used in the groundwater modeling. The groundwater modeling was updated, and many underestimate the volume of the dewatering and the impacts of the privately owned wetlands. How are you going to stop the privately owned wetlands from being dewatered? There are no plans to monitor surface water for metal concentrations. Surface water metal analysis should be added to the permitting process. Financial insurance is totally underestimated. Where is the upfront money in case of a disaster or a plan of disaster? There is none. How can a permit be given if there isn't a plan of disaster? How has Aquila proved to Eagle that this project will not impair or damage the environment? Have they proven themselves? No. What is Aquila smoking to think that the public is going to build a private road through the state forest for them to use, and the public owns this land? There were 3,400 letters mailed to Eagle opposing this mine, 32 for it. What is that telling you? You better listen to the people. Hal Finch recently retired from the DEQ Oil Mineral Resources Division. What he is now is a consultant to the mining companies to show them how to get around the permitting process. Pretty fishy, eh? If the state of Michigan will not stop this mine, we the people will.
And after Bruce is Thomas Hogan, and then Tony Lutasky.
Thank you. My name is Bruce Tissell. I'm from Gwin, Michigan. I'm the director of the IBEW JATC school for the apprentices in the state, for the Upper Peninsula. I would tell you this is a very emotional topic, to say the least. And decisions should be made on facts. And your facts should come from your experts. And if you're not satisfied with that expert, find someone who you can really trust and believe in. So make a decision based on the facts, not the emotions that's going on here tonight. And we do support the mine process going forward. Thank you.
After Thomas and Tony is Lauren Holzmer.
Good evening. My name is Tom Hogan. I'm a lifelong resident of the UP, and I live upstream in Marquette. But I live downstream from 20 other mines. Most are closed. There's 3 or 4 operational, and there are no problems. I've been involved in the construction of all that's gone on up there, and the technology today is way beyond what we ever knew before. I've toured all of them after they've been completed, and I'm quite impressed with it. I would just say that we need a balance. Recently, we lost 2 coal-fired powerhouses in Marquette. That's 300 jobs. And things change, I understand that. But I think we always need a balance, and I believe the mine and the state have put it together and are very watchful, and the safeguards are there. I just think we need the jobs. When I graduated from high school, out of a class of 100, 12 remained in the UP. The others all had to leave because there was no work. And we went to Oklahoma, we went to the military. So any sustainable job that I believe is safe. I represent electricians. And listen, we hunt, we fish, we camp, we enjoy the outdoors, and we make sure that our environment is protected also. We've lived here all our lives and will continue to do so. I would ask for a favorable decision by this committee to grant the keyless permits. Thank you.
Daryl Watergren.
Tony Ratasky, representing the 4,000 members of the Upper Peninsula Construction Council. From 2010 to 2017, the population for Menominee County has dropped by about 1,000 people, which represents about 4.86%. I suspect mostly caused by not much opportunity for the young people after they graduate high school. A project like this would be a long-term career training with long-term career training and family-sustaining wages. Not only for, not only for the construction portion, but the processing as well. This project opens doors for the residents of the local area in the form of direct and indirect jobs. The Upper Peninsula Construction Council's members from the UP support this project and urge its approval. The company's commitment to the environment is sound, and if they meet the state law or the state criteria set forth by Part 632, they should be permitted. So we urge its permitting. Thank you.